Alla pakinichi, po finya paka. Big truck, ya champa lampara. Hey everybody, my name's Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the Region, AM 1230, WJOB and 104.7 FM, the voice and face of the region. And why is it the face? Because we are also live on, put your thumb up, We're live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, and we're live on YouTube. Yes, we are. And soon we will have our own website where you will be live on. I am actually going to New York City in a couple of weeks for a conference on streaming media. And I have about 3 or 4 main questions that are pretty deep questions about what we should be doing on our video. And we're going to make those changes, but not until after I go and find the right company to help us do it. So for now, you're on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, and you can watch me. I'm standing outside in this really old leather jacket, really old. I don't know how many decades I got on this baby. Probably 2 decades old. And my daughter said the other day, Dad, why don't you get a new leather jacket? And I'm like, well, hey, big truck, oversized load. Contractor Steel Company. And we got all sorts of big trucks going by us. All right, you got another flatbed. And that's another steel carrier carrying something. They're building a bridge somewhere. And then we got a really big truck here. And this is my favorite. It's Varia trucking. Excuse me? It's Varia trucking. And that is appropriate because Cinco de Mayo is coming up. Anybody listening here in the Midwest, we're having a big fundraiser at the Gary Airport for NISA, which is a security and sharing agreement amongst public and private companies to try to build a major center at the Gary Airport. We're doing it a little differently. We're having fundraisers, private companies getting involved, and you know, you need government, but that's not all you need to get big things done. Hey, let's take a look at what's going on around America. This is JED in America, and you know, I just figure that there's so much stuff going on at the national level. Hey, Jimmy, can you get that Dana Bash versus Kellyanne Conway? Just the juicy part where Kellyanne Conway just kind of slaps Dana around. Is it Dana or Dana? Dana. How would you like to have that one where you're like dyslexic and you're laying in bed and you know, it's like you guys been dating like 3 months and you finally get it done and you're like laying there and you go, you know, for the life of me, that was really nice, but for the life of me, I can't remember if your name's Dana or Dana. Big truck. Anyways, it has, honestly, I've been in that situation. It's been a long time. I've been married to the same local Mexican chick for almost 30 years now, or 27 years, or whatever. So these are like long, far away memories before I really understood that I'm dyslexic. And I woke up a couple times with the wrong name for the woman. I kind of, you know, she reminded me of someone else, and then you get 2 people in your head, and then the next thing you know, you're getting dressed real quick and you're leaving. Hey, thanks for beeping. Have a fun day at work. Nice Jeep you got there, and big truck. Let's take a look at what's going on around America. Well, this isn't really, I've got to start outside of America. And I'm going to start with kind of some good news, and then we have to do our daily mass killing, and we'll get to that in just a moment. Prince William and Duchess of Cambridge, they had a son, and they will, I guess they don't announce the name right away, but is it their 3rd kid? And it's a big deal. They're going to officially announce it in about an hour here. I think, what is it, about 5:44 here in Central Time. So I guess it's like in the 6 to 7 hours when they're going to officially make the announcement. They got a lot of I guess formalities in England about this, so they're going to go through them. By the way, I'm going to walk outside here on Indianapolis Boulevard because I can, and look at the 400-foot tower down the way there and stand out in the road here that my forefathers, hey, what's going on? Good to see you. My forefathers walked down 147 years ago to this area and lived right a couple blocks over that way. And here I am all these years later, standing in a leather coat my great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather brought down. Hey, what are you beeping for? What are you in such a hurry for? Anyways, what else is going on? Hey, how about this killing in Toronto, 10 people dead. The guy just rented a van and just ran over a lot of people. 25-year-old Alex Manassian. He just ran over a ton of people, and I was listening to the Toronto mayor just talk about healing and inclusiveness, and just a lot of people grieving big time, and it was a 25-year-old man. And the other one, which was yesterday's mass killing that I had to stand out here and report on, was a guy named Travis Reinking. Well, of course, they found him yesterday afternoon. You guys were listening here on WJJ, or also you were watching on Facebook when Sam Michael in the midday reported on this, that they had found this guy. And, you know, a weird story here. And that, you know, there's all this talk about guns and keeping guns away. Contractor Steele, good seeing you. It looks as if they were trying to keep these guns away from Travis Reinking, but his dad gave him back his guns, and ultimately the AR-15 may be the gun that he gave back to his kid. And next thing you know, he killed 4 people in a Waffle House and injured 4 others. All right, what else is going on around the world? Pompeo has been confirmed by the Senate, and that's because Rand Paul kind of changed his tune on that one. And what did they say? What was it? Something about the Iraq War. Did you denounce the Iraq War or not? I don't know why that. Let's see. A Senate committee endorsed Mike Pompeo to be the next Secretary of State on Monday, sending him to the full Senate for his expected confirmation, after Senator Rand Paul withdrew his opposition. They needed his vote, or lack of opposition. Foreign Relations Committee confirmed Pompeo along party lines. All of the panel's Democrats and Mr. Paul had said they would vote against him in the days leading up to that. Mr. Pompeo was already expected to be confirmed by the full Senate later this week, though. Mr. Paul said he had received assurances about Mr. Pompeo from the president after a lobbying campaign. So there you go. So we may have a Secretary of State after all. Of course, Rex Tillerson was fired or resigned, or see you later, Rex, not too long ago, and we got drama that way. Hey, let's take a look at a couple of business things, okay? Right where I'm standing, okay, is north of here, 5 blocks. There used to be a huge mall called Woodmar Mall. It was 165th and Indianapolis. And actually right now we're building this huge sports center on half of it, basically. But there was a store that was left there, Carson's. And I saw that woman, darn it, like Athena. I saw Athena yesterday. Let me tell you about Athena. Athena worked at Freddy's Steakhouse for a long time. And my grandmother married the guy who used to own its, whatever, his dad or whatever. So I got to know the Matson family. And Athena used to work over there at Freddy's for a long time. And she is now at Giovanni's, and I went over there yesterday for an amazing piece of rainbow trout for lunch. Oh, so just perfect and cooked, fresh. Hey, big truck! Are we getting off the track here? What are we talking about? Anyways, Athena comes up to me, and she knows I'm an old Hammond fan. And I grew up going to Carson's down the way here and walking in the Court of Lions and going to... My grandma worked at Rosalie's forever at this mall. She sold clothes. And then I think I took dates there all the time. And they had the Lion Restaurant, Woodmar Records, Jimmy's Athletic Shoes, something Leebolts or Weebolts or whatever. And all sorts of great place to hang out. And then they had Carson's. Carson's, they knocked the rest of the mall down and they leave Carson's. But Carson's evidently isn't going to make it because the Bon-Ton stores can't make it as retail sites. And it's going to close. 275 people or so in this area expected to lose their jobs, because one is closing right here, and then another one is closing just I don't know, 12, 15 miles away in Maryville, Indiana. So you have a huge pressure on brick and mortar retail places in Middle America where we're standing, okay? at the same time, I just can't get over this. Google parent Alphabet Inc. posted surging earnings as advertisers kept swarming to the search giant amid a global debate about internet privacy that threatens to affect its main revenue generators. So listen to this amount of profit that came out yesterday for Google, and they got $9.4 billion in profit in the first quarter. It's January, February, and March. And the profit jumped 73%. And what do? Well, ultimately, you think, well, people pay to have their little ads at the top of the search bar. Yeah, they do. When you type in, let's say you type in tires, Hammond, Indiana, and you have the top 3 or 4. Levin Tire comes up, and then Lake Tire comes up, and Discount Tire Barn. Probably that's the one that would come up, because they would pay the money and they would get an ad right at the top, and you might click on it and whatever. But how do they know to do that to you? Well, you put it in the search bar, but what else is going on there? There is all this data that they have about you that helps them kind of perfect the search. And that is what's under fire right now in America, and rightfully so. And I think that over time, we're going to just get away from places that track you. Hey, thanks for beeping. You guys are beeper. Aren't you tired? You know what? Google knows that you just beeped. So does Facebook. And when you farted earlier, I'm pretty sure they got that one down too. Anyways, I forgot my glasses. Don't ever let me come out here without my glasses. The results landed while regulators in Washington are considering tougher laws on internet privacy. While most of the attention on the issue is focused on Facebook, many observers believe Google's dominant role online means it will be subject to tougher scrutiny. So kind of finally, we're really looking at this stuff. We're looking at Facebook, at all the stuff that they gather on you. Google, they're kind of getting away with it right now as they take down $9.4 billion. But the European Union is unlike the state of Indiana. Okay, the state of Indiana is, well, look, we just keep coming up with laws that got to go to the federal courts, and the federal courts got to say, what are you guys doing? I know you're trying to regulate abortion and so forth, but come on, man, we got a constitution and we got laws at the federal level. But anyways, the European Union is the anti-Indiana, and they are coming out with a set of rules called the General Data Protection Regulations Act for Europe. And if Google and others don't abide by the privacy, in other words, basically you got to consent to say, hey, follow me everywhere, take all my data. And they want to make you say, yeah, that's what we're going to do. Google can follow you everywhere if you consent to them doing that. And if companies don't do that, they could lose 4% of their revenue worldwide. Hey! I think Google's revenue worldwide just on search was like $28.1 billion. So just on search, take 4% of that. That's a lot of money, right? It's $1 billion. Let's see. 4% of that or 1% of that would be what? 280 million. I don't know. So you'd be well over $1 billion, put it that way. All right, so there you go in terms of some business. Are you taking a Southwest flight? You might want to check. They canceled, 40-some flights yesterday, because after the crash of Flight 1380, they had they're going to go around and they're going to check a lot of the older engines for metal fatigue. Hey, you need to slow down! Slow down! Look at that guy. He's got to be going 55 miles an hour. And just so you guys know, in Highland, anybody listen, he's going southbound on the boulevard in a pickup truck without a tail on the back and his pickup truck screen. All of his lights are working now. Slow down, dude. I know you're late for work. Okay? So there you go. They're looking at a lot of these flights, and so they got to take some of these engines off. They're a little bit stretched on how many planes they have, so they have had to cancel a few flights here and there. They had the vigil for the 4 people killed in the Waffle House. We talked a little bit about that. I don't want to go over that. And right up my alley here is the 10-year yield, if you guys have been watching this, I don't know if you know this or not, but I traded for 18 years in the pits of the Board of Trade interest rate futures. And it doesn't really mean that much to me that 10-year interest rates are approaching. I can't see that for some reason. I'm not able to read that in there. All right, could you come over here a little bit? Come here and get ready. Conway is ready. It's 3 minutes long. That's what we're going to end with, okay? And I forgot where I was. Let me just knock on my head for a second. Oh, interest rates. They're approaching 3% on 10-year notes. And when I traded them, and I left in 04, I mean, 4%, 6%, 7% was not a big deal. But we have had such low interest rates for so long that people are getting kind of spoiled. As a matter of fact, when I started at the Board of Trade in 1987, there were some of the old timers that were telling us about when interest rates spiked into the teens in the late 70s, early 80s, and so below 3%, I'm like, who cares? I'm just sorry. I mean, you go to 4%, but I mean, they could easily do that. But what happens is a number of people have come up to me and said, well, you better refinance now, or if you're gonna, you got your debt down or whatever, and you got to refinance, better do it now because, hey, interest rates are going up. Really? How do you know that? Because if interest rates were going up and that was such a certain thing, I'd buy bonds right now. Well, you have no idea. There are a couple factors. The real estate market is a lot hotter right now than you might have thought. I think its sales went up 1.1% quarter over quarter last quarter. So, I mean, you can kind of feel it. Realtors, our own Matt Maloney, I talked to him several times, and he's always saying, man, how hot it is around here. My sister's in on the real estate market, and she's like, wow, prices around here are really sizzling, and things are selling fairly quickly. So could interest rates go up over 3% on a 10-year note? They could, but they could also go back to 2. They could go up to 6. Please just don't tell me what directions interest rates are. Watch. People are going to come up to me. I got to go to a NIPSCO cap meeting. Say, hey, Jed, I think interest rates are going to go up to 5% on a 10-year. What do you think? No, don't talk to me like that. You can't predict it. It's just like predicting the stock market. All right, last thing is 2 things. First of all, I want to say thank you to 7 Purdue Northwest students yesterday. And that would be Autumn Martinez, Brittany Smith, Leonard Powell, Edward Clark, Jesse Smith, Sonny Santana, and Robert Aguirre. They came in and they did 2 hours of talk radio here. They are students at Purdue Northwest, undergraduates. And they have completed my sports broadcasting class. And they'll get a grade on their talk show yesterday. A number of you called in. They did it live on the radio. They did it live on Facebook Live. We worked all semester to get them to the point, and I got to tell you, it sounded very much like a normal talk show of sports people. And I want to congratulate them and thank you guys for putting up with. It wasn't nearly that level of broadcasting early on, as it was a little rough at the edges, but man, did they come around and they kicked it up. We got one more on Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. That'll be an entirely different group. That'll be Jen Baker and Jake Hoban and Josh Salazar, and they will talk whatever they want to talk about. So it's working out. I didn't know how this was going to work out, but you guys responded, got calls, got a lot of people watching, got a lot of Facebook comments on it. We very much appreciate it. Also tonight at 7 o'clock, there is a gal that you guys, I'm always looking for this quirky talent to do shows here. Hey, what's going on? Thanks for peeping. It's a beautiful day, a little bit of sunshine, but really it's not going to be raining. It's not snowing. We've been having so many horrible days. It gets into the 50s. We're excited. But I found a gal by the name of Isha Haley. She is the runner. Hey, what's going on? She is an avowed victim, survivor of domestic sexual abuse. And she has been running the No More campaign around here. I forget the name of it, about sexual abuse. They would go into schools And she would talk, and other people would talk about when they were sexually abused as kids. And then they would say, hey, anybody here wants to tell us anything, go ahead. In the city of Hammond alone, they had 78 kids come forward alleging sexual abuse or unwanted touching. Those are confidential cases, but from what I understand, most of those had some legs to them. Some were, kids just kind of confused and so forth. But that means that if you are a child sexual abuser around here and you think you got that kid that you child sexually abusing under your wraps and you got him, him or her scared to the bejesus out of them, you know what? I wouldn't feel so good in your behavior and that you're going to get away with it, because a lot of guys in and around Hammond are getting caught because of that campaign. But anyways, she does a show now at 7 o'clock tonight, and that'll be after I Raise Radio. So we have I Raise Radio, and then we have Isha Haley's show. I think it's like pain, I forget what it's, something with pain in it. And that's kind of important because she has been saying that domestic violence has been left out of the Me Too campaign. And what do you have right here on the front page of USA Today? It says right here, domestic violence left out of Me Too. Advocates say abuse by partner often minimized. So domestic violence and sexual abuse in the home, not nearly as much attention as you're getting for the Me Too campaign, which is, I guess, sexual abuse in the workplace. All right, what happened the other day? Two very important women in America got together, and Kellyanne Conway and Dana Bash. Hey, thanks for peeping! And let's just be straight, Kellyanne Conway just kicked her butt. And what I got out of this was, hey, there's an issue here, or can you bring up Kellyanne Conway's husband for tweeting against Donald Trump? Evidently, he doesn't like Trump, she does, and he tweets about it. And Dana Bash asked Kellyanne Conway about it. And she said, oh, that's what we're going to do now. Oh, let's the whole world notice. CNN is going to go there. Now everybody's spouses are open for open field. And I'm like, Dana, what are you doing? Kellyanne Conway's using the Mad Max way. It's pretty easy. They take a specific thing and they make it the whole world and everybody's against them. And then they also take a question that you've asked and make you the bad person for asking the question. And that's standard protocol in kind of divisive political rhetoric. And Dana knows better now. But I think what happens is that these Washington and New York news people, they don't spend enough time on the streets where people talk like that all the time. Kellyanne Conway evidently has some game. Let's hear a little bit of it. I'm going to get outside here, so I'll end my JED in America segment. And then I'm going to go inside and we're going to do local radio called JED in the Region. We'll do that. We'll reset Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. But I want to hear Kellyanne Conway and Dana Bash going after it, because this is exquisite drama at the highest level. I'm Jim Delo, AM 1230, WJOB 104.7 FM. Also on the TuneIn app you can listen. You can watch on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. And I want to thank the Ironworkers Local 395 for making sure that I stood out here all winter long in freezing rain, snow, and sub-zero temperatures. See you in a minute. Click.
Need a white balance.
Yeah, I need a better light. Hey, I'm still...
Because he contradicts them later. Your husband wrote, so true, it's absurd.
He writes a lot of things that are also supportive, and he writes a lot of things about corgis and Philadelphia Eagles and sports, too. But the fact is, well, two things I'll say to you. Number one, that, again, that woman who lost the election, whose name I never say on TV anymore, is wrong. That women, I think she said white women, have to listen to the men in their life to to form their own political opinions. Wrong again, lady. Number two, it's fascinating to me that CNN would go there, but it's very good for the whole world to have just witnessed that it's now that it's now fair game what people's how people's spouses and significant others may differ with them. I'm really surprised, but in some ways, relieved and gratified to see that. That should really be fun.
No, I actually, first of all, I would ask you that if you were a man and your wife were 1,000% I would.
No.
And it's not
There's
about that. It's about questioning, publicly questioning what you are doing for a living with regard to your boss. And it has nothing to do with your gender.
It has nothing to do with my spouse. And
that's why I'm just asking.
Oh no! You just brought him into this. So this ought to be fun moving forward, Dana.
Okay.
We're now going to talk about other people's spouses and significant others just because they either work in the White House or at CNN. Are we going to do that? Because you just went there.
Yes.
CNN just went there. Look, differences of opinions.
By the way, this isn't critical. I'm just asking about.
Of course it was. It was meant to harass and embarrass. But let me just tell you something.
Absolutely not.
Let me just tell you something. By definition, spouses have a difference of opinion when adultery is happening. More. By definition, spouses have a difference of opinion when one is, draining the joint bank account to support things that maybe the other disagrees with. So this is a fascinating cross the Rubicon moment, and I'll leave it at that.